Chapter 6. It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with men, for that he also is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man, that it was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Many things have been done to and with this passage. And if you take it out of context, they're quite easy to do. The sons of God and the daughters of men, and giants in the earth. Jesus says that the angels of heaven do not marry, nor are they given in marriage. They're spirit beings. They don't have flesh. And although they can assume it, for appearance sake, they're not sexual beings, nor do they have sexual appetites. The great issue, as we've already seen, as these chapters unfold, is the seed of the serpent, the seed of the woman. The seed of the woman, not being, or being more than just children of Adam, have God as their father, and thus they would be the sons of God. And the issue here is what happens to the sons of God? What happens to that godly line, those who have been born again, those who have not merely Adam as a father, and having Adam merely having Adam as a father are in fact the children of the devil, but who have been born again, who have God as their father. What happened to them? We started out with this faithful line, and it goes away until only one man finds grace in God's eyes. Well, we're told what happens. And this is consistent with what happens almost every other time that God renews his covenant with his people. Satan has basically three strategies. One is kill them all. God usually doesn't let that go very far. The next is, well, let's seduce them to idols. And if that's not going so great, let's get them into appropriate marriages that will seduce them to idols. And as we read through the other covenants of promise, again and again, God's people go after unbelieving women. And because before the 20th century, men pursued the women most of the time, and affected the marriages, and chose their wives. And Satan would move them to, or lure them to go after unbelieving women. And they would produce unbelieving seed, and things would fall apart. All the way down to the Restoration Covenant, both under Nehemiah's administration and Ezra's. They're still, after all of this, marrying unbelievers. And our young people need to understand how serious this is. God destroyed the world for this once. It got that bad. God's people would not remain covenantally faithful to him. They would not base their marriage, the second most important thing in their lives, on the most important thing, the fear of God. And it destroyed their marriages, it destroyed the covenanted community, and it destroyed the world. In between, however, something interesting can happen. You can get mighty men of renown. You can get people who have all the advantages of Christian discipline and education and nurture and love and none of the faith. And they become the deadly enemies of the faith in the next generation. And you can think here of a Hitler or a Stalin or a Castro, Mussolini. You can think of some of the big power figures in our own Eastern establishment who have the advantages of Christian civilization but have rejected the God of Christianity. And these people become very powerful. Now, give it a couple more generations and they'll be producing drunkards and whoremongers and all that. But for a time, these are Satan's successes, the apostates, not yet the thoroughly corrupt pagans who don't know what to do with their money except blow it on booze and whores, honestly. But people who still know how to use power in a logical, practical way. These were the kind of people that were produced, these mighty men who threatened the world with violence until God saw that the wickedness of man was continual. Every imagination of his heart was evil. This is the doctrine of total depravity. There was no good in man. And we're told to repent of the Lord that he had made man. That is, it says he grieved him in his heart. This is anthropomorphic language describing God as a human being, and yet it's true language. There is that in God that is akin to our sorrow and pain. God was grieved. And certainly he does not undo his eternal decree or shift from what he knows he will do and what must be, what he's decided. And yet, as we would, the only language we have for him is that this is bad, this needs to be fixed. And he's grieved in his heart, and he moves to destroy the whole world, but one man, Noah, finds grace in his eyes. Grace is not something you earn, grace is something that's given. And so into the midst of a thoroughly corrupt world, God reaches down to grace and saves one man and preserves his family. We'll talk about that next time.